Greetings, all Shardvixen, and today is June 15th, I think. Let me see. Nope, 17th. And it is a Sunday, though, so that's when I do my vlogs. I'm really tired today, so it's a quick check-in on before I start my vlog. Today is Know Thyself. We're doing Piers Anthony. Now, sometimes I'll do a book, and sometimes I do an author. It's very rare that I'm really into the authors, but Piers Anthony is a different story. He's a very interesting man. I will send it. I'll put a link on for his website. Hi, Piers. I really enjoy some of the things that he talks about, writes about, whatever. So I came upon. Well, wait. First, the real quick check-in. Like, here we go, rolling into it. Today. I was warm, which is why I got the tank top on. More skin than normal. If you did this, it would look like I was naked. Woohoo! I don't know. I'm not ashamed of my body, so you know, that's just how it is. You get old, you get fat, you get skinny, you get whatever. But I'm happy with me. I have the stuff on my face is in my mouth right now. It's in my ears. My throat's really bothering me. It feels like something's stuck in it. So hopefully I'll start to feel better. Did my hair again, different color. This is a mix of the Sunset Paradise, which is kind of that pinky peach, and the Periwinkle Blue, which I just can't seem to get to sit on my hair well. So it's fine. It got a little bit of purple, got a little bit of blue, got a little bit of everything. It's all good. So if I'm talking funny, it's because the side of my mouth is swollen. So I know maybe you guys get sick of hearing how sick I am. I get sick of hearing how sick I am, but it is the norm, and that's how it is. I still have a visitor in my house, so things are a little... I know, why do I have somebody I don't really like in my house? Well, my son, it's my son's father, and he likes him, and I'm bouncing around now. Pissy poor. Okay, I'm crooked, and I don't know why. Maybe it's me that's crooked, I don't know. Anyway, alright, so that's the way it is. I slept till 2 today. I want to go back to bed, which is usually a good indication I'm not feeling well. But I wanted to play some Ark a little later on, and I gotta get the vlog out. So here we go. Last time I got out so late, it was on a Monday. So anyway, we're gonna talk about Piers Anthony. In 1983, I was in a bookstore, and I was looking for something. In 1983, I was 17, 18, depending on when it was. It was the year I was going to turn 18, and I was always looking for new stuff, new writers, new things to read, new whatever. And I came across Piers Anthony's Dragon Upon a Pedestal. Absolutely love the book. Oh, it's such a great book. I love the little Princess Ivy in it. This long-standing series called Xanth. It's Xanth. Some people pronounce it different, some people don't. And it's about puns. He uses puns to write the stories. So and metaphors. So things are literally the way they are. So like the one that always comes to my mind is a football. It's this little thing that rolls along with little feet on it. You know, and he has more elaborate ones too. So he has this dragon upon a pedestal. And what it is little Princess Ivy leaves the castle. She's not supposed to. And she meets the dragon in the gap. And they become best buddies. Because he drinks some of the youth stuff and becomes a baby dragon. And so you have these two little babies. They're out wandering the forest. And they have all these great adventures. And they meet these great characters. Now, the series, before Dragon and Pedestal, there's a couple other books before that. I have it here. It's The Spell of the Chameleon, The Source of Magic, Castle Rugong, and Centaur Isle, and Org, and Nightmare. Those are all before Dragon and Pedestal, and they have characters of their own who also go on to have characters in there. One of my other favorite books of the series is Gollum and the Gears, with Grundy, this Gollum, little Gollum who comes to life. What it is you have this magical realm called Xanth, and these adventures occur, and they have all these different creatures and things they meet that are metaphorically created. And the story is really good, and it's all about Ivy making her way through the kingdom that she will one day rule. And how she's this very powerful little sorceress, but they didn't know how powerful she really is. So I love this story. I love Ivy. You get to follow Ivy through, as she grows up, she becomes a teenager. She then becomes a very powerful sorceress, and she becomes queen of Xanth. Incarnations of Immortality became my #1 favorite books by him, which he takes, like the first one's on a pale horse. It's about death. So you meet, what it is that when people become these incarnations. So like in the case of Upon a Pale Horse, this guy shoots death, and then when you shoot death, you become death. And so he gets into this, finds out it's a job, and he has all these issues. And then there's this underlining story going on, though, about God and the devil. And so you have these stories of these incarnations, who they start picking incarnations to support the way the world is supposed to be. And so you go from, first you meet death, then you meet Bearing an Hourglass, which is about time, which is a very interesting book if you read it, because it goes from past to future to past to future, and present. And then you have With the Tangled Skeeve, which is about fate, the 3 incarnations of fate. So she goes, there's a young one, the maiden, and then there's, there's the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And those 3 are the things of fate. And then you go to Wielding a Red Sword, which is about war, Being a Green Mother, which is about nature, For the Love of Evil, which is about Satan, and Eternity. I didn't read Under the Velvet Cloak, though. It looks like he got a new one for that. I kind of wanted to write like he did. He writes 4 books a year, and he's always got stories going on in between those 4 books. And he tries to complete a book within 3 months. I guess he does it pretty well. And he talks about how he does that, and he writes. And on his website, he also talks about publishers. So that's kind of a cool thing, because he really wants people to be successful, as writers. And he likes to share his ideas in his writing, which is what I thought was always kind of neat. And he lets people contribute in his Xanth series. People can write to him and give him metaphoric ideas, and then he will, write about them. And then in the back of his book, he'll have like a Piers Anthony note, and it will give credit to those people who helped write in his story. So I always thought that was a very interesting way of doing things, because it's very collaborative. Again, in 1983, I was turning 18. I was coming out of high school, which wasn't the greatest, fantastic experience of my life. To this day, I still hated being a teenager. I didn't really like being a kid either, so so that kind of sums that up. But considering it's a very small period of time in my whole life now, and that's what, 18 years out of the rest of your adulthood, it's fine. It didn't really define me. It did cause me to become a certain way. So finding an author who wrote these great, fun, happy kind of stories, always had love in it, always had relationships and friendships and things like that. Great avenues of adventure without severe consequences was a fun thing to read every once in a while. Every time a book of his came out, I bought it. And so I think if we talk about defining things through your pulp culture and the things that you enjoy, I still like to read his books. I don't read as much as I should. Okay, sorry, this eye is really bothering me. Hey there. But I think that there's still a certain great funness in reading his books. I think that they take you to it. They make you feel like how fairy tales should have been, rather than the fairy tales as we know they are, and fairy tales as they are now, but somewhere kind of in the middle of that, where there's a lesson to be learned, but also a fun time. When you try to connect to the person you were when you were 18 to the person you are now at 50, almost 53, it's hard sometimes, because sometimes it's hard. Then other times my brain is still stuck in that world, that time period with its emotions and its fluctuations, because it kind of got stuck in places due to trauma and other things that occurred. So at the time when I was 18, I was trying so hard to become my own self. I was trying to break out of that that cocoon of what everyone else wanted me to be. And so I was looking for writers and comic books and movies and things that defined who I was. And now when I look back at it and I look over that whole period of time from 1853, there's lots of stuff I missed. There's things that were spectacular that I just happened to go down the wrong road because I started, like Piers Anthony, and I went down that road in the books he read and the people he was in association with, and I read those books. But if I had gone a different way, I might have read a whole different bunch of books. Like, he was the reason I read a lot of Philip Dick. Because he was big in Philip Dick. So he talked about him, so I went and read about him. And I think that's kind of how we learn things. We meet people that we find interesting, or not interesting sometimes, and we share with them ideas and thoughts of things that we really like. And that's kind of why I do the Know Thyself thing, is that, do I have a connection to the 18-year-old me? Can I still sit down and read a Piers Anthony book? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I can still read. I love reading Dragon Upon a Pedestal. And I've passed that on to many people. I'm like, you want to start a really good, fun series, start here. Not at the very beginning. Because if you go back and you read the beginning ones, they're not. I think, to me, Dragon on a Pedestal was the pinnacle of when he actually started writing the series really, really well. Everything up to that was kind of a trial to get there. But Nightmare's okay, which is the one right before it. But you really connect with Princess Ivy more so than you do with, for me, than some of the other people. I don't know why. Maybe because even as a little toddler, she is trying to become her own self. And she's being allowed to, in a way. And I was always trying to become my own self. I was always trying to be able to stand up for what was strong about me. And one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately, well, I think about it all the time, but it comes back and forth, is that I don't really want to know the people I used to know, because they see me a different way than I see myself. And that's true of all of us. I mean, we all kind of see people differently than they see themselves. And they don't see me in a really great light, because I wasn't really, at that age, I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't independent enough. I wasn't able to say, no, stop doing these things to me. And I didn't know how to do them in the right way. I did them in the wrong way. I became, like what you guys call now social justice warriors. But I got tired of that. I did. I got tired of it because people are going to make the choices people make. And the only person I can really be in control of is myself. And so when I was reading Piers Anthony, and I was feeling depressed, and I was feeling sad, and I was feeling like having all these hard times and dealing with things, his books had an ability to make me want to see the next day. Which is good. I'm sorry, I'm swallowing a lot because my throat's really bothering me. Anyway, so what is it to know thyself? And when you look at the box, every time I look at books and I open them up and I think about the first time I read them, and the first time I read very quickly, even now, but then too, I could sit down and read a book in a day, a nice paperback book, read a book in a day, and so when you think about that, I just devoured books, and so I devoured his book. Okay, so this could go a little further because I better read a little bit out of the book. It's always funny to look through it like this because it looks like it's backwards, but it's not. I think I better read out of the book. Maybe not. Just can't see very well. It says, okay, so how it starts, the story starts is that this is Princess Ivy, and her mother, Irene, sees a vision where the dragon and her, well, she's standing between the dragon and this other statue. And so, statue of the daymare. Instead of the nightmare, they have a nightmare who brings bad dreams, and a daymare that brings good dreams. I know, it sounds funny. It says, we'll keep her away from the statues, Dory said reassuringly. It all seemed foolish now. The vision didn't necessarily mean anything, and if it did, it wasn't the statues that were responsible. They were just there. Mare Imbrica would never bring harm to Ivy, not even a bad dream. And the dragon, that one resembled the Gap Dragon. It had 6 legs, but was smaller. Seemed smaller. Such a dragon would be dangerous, for any dragon was dangerous. But how could a dragon statue harm anyone? And why would anyone make a statue of a dragon? It made no sense. Irene relaxed. Now 4 magicians were present, and they could settle down to business of planning the party for the twins' debut. Lost in the jungles of Xanth. There's trouble in Xanth again, all kinds of trouble in fact. The Gap Dragon has escaped from the Gap and is ravaging across the land. The forget spell that covers the Gap was breaking up into small forget worlds that wandered about, giving amnesia to all they touched. Good magician Humphrey might have had the answer, but he had overdosed on the water from the Fountain of Youth and was now a helpless baby. And Ivy, 3-year-old daughter of King Dor and Queen Irene, was lost in the jungle south of the Gap. While Irene sought her without much hope, Ivy was wandering further into danger, her memories erased by a passing forget world. Her path was leading her directly to where the Gap Dragon was seeking dinner. It's such a cute story. So I'm sorry this was a little long because I like rambled funky, but you know me, I ramble funky all the time. Anyway, I hope you guys have a really, really great day. And for those of you who are fathers in America, I hope you have had a great Father's Day. I said this everywhere, but the reason why you can't say it again. And next week will be What Does the Vixen Say? And hopefully I'll feel better and everything will turn out better. All right, peace. I'm out of here. Love y'all.